this a little bit. To Roppongi Hills Arena in Tokyo, Japan, where we are less than 24 hours away from the big one. Year-end Super Powerhouse Matsuri, RIZIN's New Year's Eve card, which will be a blockbuster, and tomorrow we are expecting a sellout of almost 50,000 fans at the Saitama Super Arena. Michael Chavello alongside my verbal sparring partner, former UFC and RIZIN star Damian Brown. Damian, there is nothing like a New Year's Eve JMMA card, and tomorrow's one is going to be a blockbuster in every sense of the word.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, it's good to be back alongside you. It's great to be at another New Year's Eve event. And talking about New Year's Eve, in some countries they celebrate by partying. In Japan, they celebrate by watching fights. And I'm very excited for tomorrow night's fights.
It's a tradition here in Japan that's been going on since 2001. And traditionally, this event has driven the biggest figures in the entire combat sports world. In fact, if we get over 48,000 tomorrow, it's probably the biggest New Year's Eve event since 2006 K1 Dynamite at the Osaka Dome. Damian, 15 fights on tomorrow's card, including a swag of title fights. The one that everyone's talking about, of course, the main event. Razabali Shadolaev against Mikuru Asakura. Shadolaev puts his featherweight championship on the line. In Shadolaev, you've got a guy who is steamrolling everyone. 16-0, never been past the second round, has finished everybody and done so violently. Is Asakura the one who can finally pick the lock and figure out how to beat Shadolaev?
Look, if you asked me 3 or 4 fights ago, I would say absolutely not. Now we've seen him grapple recently. We've seen him show good fight IQ recently. We've seen improvements in his game. I feel like if he's come up with a plan to win, which I think there is one, he needs to drag it into the 3rd round, and then he can start to get aggressive from there. Before that, he needs to show good fight IQ, good style, good distance, lots of footwork, and he needs to stay out of the brawling range that Shadolaev will want to get to so he can land that big explosive strike. If he can do that, which we've seen over the last few fights, potentially he could cause an upset. But what better guy to have leading a New Year's Eve card than Mikuru Asakura? The guy's a superstar.
Oh, superstar, megastar. You're talking about the biggest name in Japanese mixed martial arts right now and over the last few years. And you look around here at the Roppongi Hills Arena, it is jam-packed. I'm talking thousands of people have braved the cold weather today, and you know, Damian, that most of them are just hoping for a glimpse of Asakura when he walks onto that stage in a few minutes' time. I see the fighter's bus has just arrived. When you hear them scream, that's because Asakura is going to be here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we typically hear with Japanese crowds, they're quiet, you can hear a pin drop, they're very educated, a little bit like a golf crowd, but for combat sports. But there's certain stars in Japan that you start to hear the noise for, and Mikuru Asakura is one of those superstars that they will get vocal for, that's for sure.
I do want to say also, and this might surprise our Western audience, but it's not just guys here. If I glance around, Damian, I'd say at least 60-40 in favour of women, and again, most of them turning out to get a glimpse of Asakura.
Yeah, and there's lots of kids. I mean, it's a real family affair. Again, good educated crowd, a lot of understanding around the sport, the rules, the scoring. Everyone really can appreciate, the in-depth value of the sport and understand like the grappling aspects and everything. And there's a young kid right next to me. It's pretty cool to sort of see that kind of crowd at a weigh-in.
Folks, don't forget you can book the pay-per-view on RIZIN.tv. The first 3 fights and the opening ceremony tomorrow live from Saitama. Super Arena will feature for free on the RIZIN YouTube channel, and then book the pay-per-view worldwide on RIZIN.tv. Roberto Satoshi Souza, another one that will go nuts for us. We're joined by the matchmaker for RIZIN, Shingo Kashiwagi. Shingo, great to see you.
Great to see you, Michael.
Fantastic.
Damien, good to see you.
Before we talk about Roberto Satoshi Souza, Shingo, we were just talking about the atmosphere of a New Year's Eve event again here in Japan, here in Tokyo. We're expecting a sellout over 48,000 people at Saitama tomorrow. What is it about New Year's Eve, Japan, MMA, that is such an iconic event?
I think it's the word is tradition. And, like New Year's Eve is it's the day where nobody is really doing anything. So when you look at the history, this is the time where families gather together, they just sit around the house, watch television. So that's when the whole terrestrial television rating wars began. That is what kicked off the tradition of having MMA, where all these terrestrial television networks, they compete to see who gets the best ratings. And it all started 25 years ago. And MMA, or combat sports, with K1 and Pride, they all got into it, and that's what started the tradition.
I have the statistics here. You talk about it, Shingo, the ratings on TV. Back when it started, first ever, Yasuda versus Labana, first ever New Year's Eve event, 14.9% peak rating. That's how many people just in Japan were watching that show.
Yep.
I mean, these are the type of figures that TV shows like The Walking Dead, they draw for a finale. They were drawing it all the time back then for New Year's Eve events.
Absolutely. So it's a tradition, and it's been slowly building up. And up until MMA or combat sports really started to take off as content, it was always NHK's the sing contest, right? The concert contest. So all these other networks, private networks, like, how can we beat those numbers? And more, they beat it. Combat sports was once the most viewed content on New Year's Eve, the busiest time of the year for terrestrial television.
Quick question, can you guess which New Year's Eve event out of all of them, there's so many classics, had the highest peak TV ratings? Which fight?
I think I know what it is.
Give us a crack.
It was definitely Bob Sapp versus Akebono, no?
You would be almost there. Sapp Akebono drew 19%, peaked at 49%.
Yep.
And the other one was Gracie versus Akebono. Royce Gracie Akebono, 2 years later.
Akebono.
Crazy. And if I'm correct, Shingo, if we pull the big audience tomorrow, 48,000 or so, it'll be the biggest one since 2006 Dynamite at the Osaka Dome.
Wow.
So there it is. It is going to be crazy.
It's going to be absolutely insane. I'm super excited about this one.
Once again, folks, RIZIN.tv, book the pay-per-view. The first 3 fights are streamed for free on the RIZIN YouTube channel, including the opening ceremony. You don't want to miss that. And then, of course, worldwide, RIZIN.tv, the global pay-per-view. Shingo, we were talking a moment ago about this main event, Shadolaev and Asakura. Nobody has picked the lock of Shadolaev so far. You scoured planet Earth for someone to try and beat Shadolaev, and Asakura is the man who raised his hand and said, I'll do it, I'll give it a crack. The biggest name in Japanese mixed martial arts against an unstoppable monster. How did it come about? How do you see it going down?
I think honestly, obviously you said, Mikura Asakura is one of the best, iconic MMA figures that Japan has ever seen in history. And he rightfully earned his shot at this title. He beat 2 former champions, Suzuki, and then Kleber. He rightfully earned this shot.
This is after we thought he retired, after he's lost to Ren Hiramoto.
Absolutely. His dedication for the sport and how he's so laser focused on coming back, it's been amazing.
Yeah, I definitely think that, like I said before, I think that we've seen a change in Asakura. He played the grappling game with Kleber, and he came out on top, and that's something that not a lot of people get to do. And you can look at Kleber's record; he's got so many submissions that's something you would say don't do. And he went there and he did it, and he was able to get back to his feet and get through that. And I just think that he's a lot smarter in his approach to all of his fights now. And I think that if he's got a good game plan and he can stick to it, then he could potentially drag this into deep waters and get a win against Shutalayev and take away the O, as we like to say in combat sports. But there's a part of Mikuro Asakura that likes to brawl.
Yeah.
There's a part of him that's an entertainer. There's a reason why he's a crowd favorite and the biggest superstar in combat sports in Japan. And that's because he likes to have a brawl and he's exciting and entertaining. But I don't think that that's the way that he gets this one done. Hey, I'm here to watch it if he chooses to do that, but.
My concern is, Shingo, and Damien, we were talking about this earlier on off air, the focus on the publicity for this main event hasn't been Asakura. This time it's been Shutalayev. He's been doing TV shows here in Japan. He's been here for a while. He's been touring Tokyo. He's had press conferences. He's been on radio. He's been on TV. I wonder if that gets to him, if that affects him, if that affects his leader, because he's never been thrust in the spotlight like this before Shutalayev. Usually he's flown under the radar and just wrecked people, but now all the positioning of the media is on Shutalayev. Does it affect him?
You know, just having the regular, interaction with him, he seems totally normal. I mean, he held his own fan club meeting 7 days before the fight. Just a week ago, he was hanging out with his friends, shaking hands, well, not shaking hands, but taking pictures, talking about himself. He feels supernatural, he feels comfortable. But again, it's that factor that sometimes kicks in. Maybe you're way too comfortable. Maybe you're way too overconfident. Maybe he mentions that he's not underestimating Mikuru, but there's that certain confidence of someone who's never lost before. He's never made that mistake. He's never lost, so he doesn't really know what it's like when things like that happen, So, and on top of that, I think that Mikuro Asakura is has one of the highest fight IQs. I'm sure he studies his opponent hard. He comes up with a solid game plan. He has all the tells. He knows everything about his opponent. I assume that Mikuru has a solid game plan coming in here. And then Shailov definitely cannot underestimate that. He's enjoying this experience. He's enjoying this spotlight. He's enjoying his fandom over here in Japan. But as you said, it is a concern because he's never faced defeat before. And you never know when that's going to hit.
We will find out tomorrow. As I said, less than 24 hours away. Make sure you book the pay-per-view, RIZIN.tv. And once again, first 3 fights streamed live and free on the RIZIN YouTube channel, including the opening ceremony, and then, of course, our global pay-per-view. Lightweight title also on the line tomorrow. Roberto Satoshi Souza defends the title against Ilkom Nozimov. I know that you've got some certain thoughts on this one, Damien. How does it go down? Because Satoshi Souza has been on an unbelievable tear, whereas the world once thought of him as just a BJJ guy, and now he's a potent striker to boot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, myself personally, I know that there's a period of time where a lot of people would have thought we just need to stop the takedown. But I feel like now he's such a diverse fighter. He's got a well-rounded game. He has 5 knockouts or TKOs on his record now. We've seen him get fast finishes. He knocked out Gustavo. I think he shocked everyone there. Within 30 seconds. So he provides this problem now where do we strike with him or maybe I need to grapple with him. We definitely don't want to grapple with him, but I feel like we can get an edge in the striking, but you just can't stand in front of the guy. So I think for Nozimov, he needs to make sure that his footwork's on point, his distance is good, because if he's too far in, he's going to end up in a grappling contest. That's not where he wants to be, even though he does have 3 submissions of his own. So he's well versed in the grappling department, but I just think that Roberto Souza's on another level, and I've screamed it from the rooftops for years now. I think he's the best lightweight in the world. I don't think that anyone could really argue with me, but they would have a crack, and the only way to find out is really to test it in the ring. But I feel like he's the best lightweight in the world, and he's provided himself with a good striking skill set now through his development, and that's given everyone like a real problem to solve. Like he's a real puzzle now, and I don't know if Nozimov's going to solve it on 15 days' notice, but he gets the opportunity to cause a massive upset tomorrow night.
Shingo, when you talk about Roberto Satoshi Souza, you're talking about maybe the proudest of all RIZIN fighters. I mean, RIZIN flows through this guy's veins. He's come out publicly and said RIZIN has the best fighters in the world. Let's show why we have the best fighters in the world. This is a huge matter of pride every time he defends the title.
Absolutely. Like even during the national anthem, he requests for the Japanese national anthem. There's so much love and pride that he wants to protect. Every time he defends the belt, he says, again, I was able to keep the belt in Japan. That's how much pride he has. And let me add to what just Damien mentioned about his skill sets. I was just discussing with Damien today, like, there's no safety zone with him. You step in the ring or even the cage, like, you can't stand with him. He's got that knockout power. He's gonna knock you down. He's gonna submit you. You can't take him down because he's an absolute threat from his back. He's a wizard. He's got setups after setups after setups. He's always 2-3 steps ahead of you. We saw that in the fight against Vugar Karamov last New Year's Eve, where Vugar was adjusting to all of his movements, but Souza was just so much steps ahead of him. And you can't really want to be on bottom of Souza because he is going to pound you out, force you to give up your back, or you're going to get TK out. So there's really no safe spot with Souza. And where would you fight with Souza if you were Nozhimov?
I mean, if I'm Nozhimov, I'm cutting angles and I'm coming in from a 45. Like, I don't want to be attacking from directly in front. I feel like that's the best way for him to lose. So if he wants to, he's obviously going to want to keep the fight on the feet. I think anyone would against Souza. We did mention earlier the loss that he had, AJ McKee, was able to sit in the guard, have effective striking, did a lot of damage, but did ultimately win a decision. But he had to face K-guard entries to triangles to Kimuras throughout the entire fight. So the skill set's there to cause a lot of problems, and we've never seen anyone else be able to do what AJ McKee did. Obviously had the ability to do it and sit in the guard, but I just think the way to beat him is on the feet. It's just a problem now because he can strike and he has knockouts and he clearly has the power, but cut an angle, enter from the angle and exit again nice and quick.
Folks, as you can hear, the weigh-in is just about to begin here at Roppongi Hills. We will weigh in all of our fighters and see them head-to-head, toe-to-toe for the very first time. Before we get there, though, I know that Shingo's a big Sopranos fan, therefore he's a big fan of the Italian gangster, Danny Sabatello. Shingo, he can talk the talk. Can he walk the walk finally tomorrow for his title crack?
That's going to be the big question. My thing is that, can he grind Inoue out for a decision win? Or perhaps finish him during the process. The other way, can the champion defend and continue to play his game against a grindy American wrestler? And my thing is that, has Danny Sabatello adjusted to the RIZIN rules? His style can heavily favor, and if he can incorporate right, he can heavily advantage him. And he was talking in the interviews yesterday that he was on the receiving end of the RIZIN rule sets in his last fight. And now he understands with his body. He paid the price to understand how it's like, the timing, the distancing. We might be able to see like a totally different Danny Sabatello with Japanese rule sets. And if that happens, that's big trouble for champion.
Inoue's a big step up for Danny Sabatello here, though, Damien. Inoue's a fantastic champion. Like Shingo said about Asakura, I feel that Inoue is also a very high, intelligent fighter, high-level IQ. Maybe he's already figured out Sabatello, figured out the limitations of Sabatello. How do you see the game plan for Inoue tomorrow?
Look, I think that even though he's the champion, I think that Inoue is maybe underrated. I think his distance management, his angles, his footwork, his ability to get in and get out kind of fast and have effective striking, along with, I might add, an absolute pinpoint, blistering jab.
The jab's beautiful.
I think that he can probably cause a lot of problems for Sabatello on the feet. We obviously know that Sabatello is going to have the advantage in the wrestling department, but when it hits the mat, Naoki Inoue has a lot of submissions. He knows how to grapple. He's going to be okay being in guard if he needs to. So I think that on the mat, he has an advantage, and on the feet, he has an advantage. It's the in-between. And so for Sabatello, he needs to not be in the guard. He needs to pass the guard if he's riding, so all of his wrestling rides and positions, and he mixes in the strikes, as Shingo said, and he has an effective use of the rules, then I think he could have success. Anywhere else, I believe that Naoki Inoue has the advantage.
Worldwide, once again, don't forget, American fans, RIZIN.tv is where you can book the pay-per-view. First 3 fights are streamed live and free on RIZIN's YouTube channel, including the opening ceremony and then the global pay-per-view on RIZIN.tv. Seika Izawa also undefeated, amazing. No one has touched her, no one has scratched her, no one has bruised her. She hasn't raised a drop of sweat with any opponent. Is Rina the one, Shingo, to finally get inside and figure out Izawa tomorrow?
We'll find out, but this is definitely a classic grappler versus striker. Rena has shown her involvement as a striker who can continue to fight at her ground. So her focus is on the ground, is defending takedowns, and even in taking down, getting back up and timing those entries. That is what she's been solely focused on as an MMA fighter, MMA striker. So the only way for her to win is to continue to fight at her game.
Who gets the audience pop tomorrow at Saitama? Is it Rena or is it Izawa?
I actually think it's going to be Reina.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so
I
too.
mean, Izawa's kind of playing the heel here. You know, she's been talking some smack. You know, she clearly shows that she's unhappy. You know, and she's definitely playing the heel, unpopular champion. So hey, we got some special guests here.
All right, things are getting a little loud. We've got some guests coming up onto the stage.
That is Mirko and
It is
Big
Crow
Nog.
Cop himself and Big Nog. How about that?
Yeah.
Talk about a man who's torn up Japanese mixed martial arts history and K1 history. Mirko Crow Cop.
7 years, and what can I say? I missed a lot of Japan. I'm missing my Pride days. I'm missing my RIZIN days, and I'm missing everything about Japan and my fighting career.
What was the old Mirko quote? Used to be right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. Was that right? Back in the day. It's always good to see Mirko here and also Big Nog. And as we said, thousands in attendance here in the Roppongi Hills Arena for these weigh-ins and face-offs for our New Year's Eve show tomorrow. We're less than 24 hours away. Let's hear from Big Nog.
皆さん、久しぶり。
Said it's been a
Great
while in Japanese.
to see you guys again. Like Miko said, we miss so much the Pride Days, and we are here to see the RIZIN show. You know, Mr. Sakakibara invite us to come to see you guys, and thank you very much. Let's have the best show ever. Thank you.
Of course, Crow Cop main evented a couple of New Year's Eve shows. First of all, Inoki Bombayer back in 2014. And then, of course, it was RIZIN 4 Crow Cop versus Ali Akbari. That one was back in 2016. So he's very familiar with New Year's Eve events. He's Mirko Crow Cop.
Absolutely. You know what's interesting is that a lot of the RIZIN fans here right now probably are thinking, who are these guys?
Yeah. It's a different
You can
generation.
hear, yeah, it's a different generation. It's quite amazing that, you know, when we first started RIZIN 10 years ago, it was all former Pride fans, like in their 30s now, in their 40s. But now we have a whole different group. I think it's, you know, same thing with Global MMA, I guess. But we can truly see that we are developing a new era of MMA fans.
And as Damien was saying before, we looked around, we were walking around, there's so many children here. I'm talking 8 years old to 12, 13 years old. This is the next generation of mixed martial arts fans.
Absolutely, which means that, you know, we can talk to gym owners and coaches all the time, and they're saying that we are completely, every time there's a RIZIN event, we get more students. We get younger students, we get kids classes, we get teenagers wanting to come into the gym to learn martial arts. So the fact that we're contributing to the combat sports industry, it's very amazing, especially after seeing those dark years when Japan had not seen a big organization. It's really nice to see the competition level rise, the population grow. It's been quite amazing.
Shingo, you know what I love about tomorrow is that traditionally we associate New Year's Eve events here in Japan with gimmick fights. The Bob Sapps, the Akabonos, etc. There are no gimmicks tomorrow. And yet we're going to have a sellout of close to 50,000 people without a gimmick fight. That speaks volumes to what an educated audience RIZIN has, and they're looking forward to good, genuine title fights and the rest of the card.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the answer right here. You know, it's a grand sum of our 10 years of work, and we have a solid card from top to bottom with no gimmicks. That is a great answer, and the fans are loving it, you know? So I think what we've been doing is it's been an amazing thing, you know, not to toot our own horn, but you know, it's just great to see that the fans are back. They're appreciating more of the martial arts aspect, along with enjoying the entertainment aspect.
Okay, we're about to get underway with our first weigh-in. It will be Yuri Suda and Enzo Masami Imazato. This one is a RIZIN Koshin 2025 final. Koshin means high school, right?
Yep, high school, yep. And it's actually a location in Osaka. But okay, so these two are both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. They've competed against each other 9 times already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Enzo is 7-2. in jiu-jitsu competitions. So Suda has only beat Enzo twice in jiu-jitsu competitions. So this is their 10th fight. Under 10 years anniversary show, under MMA rules. Dude, this is a great like teenage story for sure.
There you go. It's Brazil versus Japan. Suda and Imazato to open up on the undercard tomorrow before the opening ceremony at Saitama Super Arena.
Yeah, as you said, with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, these guys are competing all the time. We often see with Jiu-Jitsu, which is something that's great for young kids, is they learn how to lose, but they get comfortable with competition. So we would expect tomorrow night that these guys won't have as many nerves because they've competed together a lot, and rather than having the nerves, they're going to go out there and provide some kind of entertainment that we probably don't usually expect from a lot of young guys that are having the big stage for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the younger generation, these men or boys or fighters, they were 6 years old when they first started. They grew up watching RIZIN. Now they're here. They're finally going to be competing in the Saitama Super Arena, and they are amazing athletes.
So that will be on our undercard tomorrow at the Saitama Super Arena. Once again, don't forget RIZIN.tv for the international pay-per-view. First 3 fights are streamed live and free on the RIZIN YouTube channel, including the opening ceremony. And then next fight up is going to be Jolly weighing in against Ryusei Ashizawa. As some goodies are thrown out to the crowd here in Roppongi Hills, much to their delight. Fans are also treated here, of course. There's a food truck just outside that is Sakakibara-san's own Karage food truck. Shingo, we're going to raise some chicken there afterwards.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's very tasty. It's called bara age. Age means fried, so it's like fried bara, right? Pretty delicious.
So I'm going to send the message, Dana White, time to step up and get your own food truck at the next UFC event. So Sakakibara's got his own.
Absolutely, he should do the same.
Crowd very excited here in Roppongi Hills. And that's just the excitement for the undercard fight. Imagine when the main fights get underway.
Yeah, these guys were picked, as you know, the first fight of the event, it lays a heavy meaning on it because it's a superstition that Japanese promoters have. The first fight of the night, if that goes with a boom, that's how the rest of the fights are going to go.
So it sets the tone for the rest of the event.
Correct, absolutely. So these guys have a mission, and they both know what to do.
Well, I think that if that's the way that the card's going to get set, and that's the superstition, then Ashizawa was the man to set the tone, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes to play the bad guy and play the heel, but he's actually a really nice guy, but he goes out there to send it, like 100%. Like, it's like live or die by the sword kind of style, and it's always fun to watch. So that's going to be an exciting one tomorrow night, straight after the opening ceremony.
A little bit of headbutting.
There we go.
Ooh.
Hey, there we go.
Things are getting a little heated for this one.
Okay. There we go.
Oh, he's trying to go him again. Oh my word, security getting involved here.
Okay, save that for tomorrow, man.
Now I've been to a lot of weigh-ins for RIZIN, and that's probably like the most aggressive I've seen anyone at a weigh-in.
Ashizawa actually said yesterday he didn't want Lenny Hart to call his name out tomorrow.
Yes.
Is that right, Shingo?
Correct. He's walking out with a new entrance song, and I think he's singing it. So he doesn't.
He's going to sing.
He wants everybody to listen.
Oh, he's not
to the
singing it
best
live
part.
though as he comes
No,
out.
it's not
It's
gonna be live.
pre-recorded.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
So no crazy screaming lady Lenny Hart for Ashizawa's entrance. My goodness. Okay, we move on, and we've got Black Panther Benoa and Tatsuya Yambo Seika in this one, Shingo.
Yep. You got to give it to Seika. He took this fight in a 2-week notice. He was definitely, so I mean, I guess he was very, very not ready to fight, but he took this fight. He couldn't take this opportunity. But like, Damon, what's it like taking a short notice fight?
Well, I feel like sometimes, particularly if the weight cut's not gonna kill you. In this case, we got to catch weight at 73, but you would assume that he made that pretty easily. And I feel like a short notice fight takes away the pressure. You don't have like 8 to 10 weeks camp. You probably don't do as much tape study. There's not as much game plan. And the pressure really becomes, put on the other fighter because it's Benoa that's had the big camp. He's the one that's done the prep, and he's the one that should go out there and get the win. So for Seika, tomorrow's just fun. And that's the way I used to look at short notice fights. There's no pressure on me.
That's very true. I mean, props to Benoa. Like he accepted the fight, a new opponent, and a higher, heavier weight class. So he's also the one with all the pressure, like you said. We'll see how he goes. He's been evolving at AKA.
Yeah. Well, and like you said earlier with the AKA, you know, potentially come out with a different style to what we're used to. He's got that kickboxing background, but he's faced with Sayaka, who's got 12 knockouts out of 13 wins. So if he's got the skill set that he's gone and developed, then tomorrow night's the perfect opportunity for him to go out there against an experienced MMA opponent. On short notice, he should be the fresher, fitter fighter, and maybe he can put some new skills on the table that no one's been exposed to before.
Very true.
So professional smiles and a handshake and a hug between combatants there. That will be their second fight on the main show tomorrow as Black Panther Ben Noah takes on Tatsuya Saika. And listen to the applause here for Shinotsuka and Tomizawa. They are up next on stage. Shinotsuka, I'm a big fan of this man, Shingo. I love his jab, I love his attitude, and Tomizawa is going to be a very tough challenge for him.
Absolutely. I mean, his striking is absolutely amazing, crisp and professional, very accurate. These two fought against each other 2 years ago on New Year's Eve under kickboxing rules. That time, Shinotsuka definitely showed his class. Tomizawa wasn't able to finish Tomizawa, but Tomizawa showed that fighting heart. And in MMA, it's a totally different sport. How do you think it's going to be?
Look, I think this weight cut for Shinotsuka was maybe a difficult one. He looked like it took him maybe a little while to recover, but I think that he's so relaxed. He's just going to go in there and do what he always does. He's going to keep his hands nice and low. He's going to be pretty relaxed in there, and no doubt he'll look for a knockout. I think what he gets to bring into this is 2 years ago he has the confidence now that he's faced this opponent. And I think when you get a rematch and you were the winner in the previous match, I think you get to take this confidence into it that, I've already beaten you. You're the one that has to prove yourself. And he always kind of fights like that anyway, like everyone else has to prove themselves and not him. So, but I think that he can take some confidence out of his previous matchup and go in there tomorrow night and sort of put that on display a little bit more from a relaxed point of view.
And Shingo, judging by what I'm hearing here, the crowd seems to be well on the side of Tatsuki Shinotsuka.
It seems like, he comes from a very popular camp with, Ren Hiramoto, his boss. I think Tomizawa has been working on his ground a lot. Oh, they didn't do much. There's a lot of bad blood, and Tomizawa has been mentioning very vocal that he's very frustrated and he wants payback.
Once again, RIZIN.tv for the international pay-per-view tomorrow from Saitama Super Arena. First three fights on the card, live and free on the RIZIN YouTube channel. Up next, it's going to be Joji Goto and Jose Torres. This one should be a ripper, Shingo.
It's going to be super exciting. Goto is a definite prospect, he's a high level in everything. He's a great striker. His left hand is something to watch out for. And, Torres is stepping up a weight class from flyweight, but he's not, he's used to fighting at bantamweight. He's held titles before.
Damien Shorty looks good up there.
Yeah, for sure. He's at bantamweight, I seen him in his last fight out at flyweight, and he sort of, I guess it wasn't real short notice, but for the weight that he had to cut, it was kind of short notice, and he really struggled with that flyweight cut last time. And this morning I spoke to him, and he said he's happy to be up a weight class. He's happy to be at bantamweight.
Also, Dim Thomas is in Shorty's corner tomorrow, Shingo.
Yep, him and Charles Rosa, they both flew in from Florida, and they're going to be. I mean, if you're going to fight in Japan, might as well have Dean Thomas and Charles Rosa in the corner. Those guys are definitely reliable, and he should feel very comfortable.
Do you feel comfortable, Damien, with a big name in your corner, or do you feel added pressure having someone like Dean Thomas in your corner for such a big fight?
No, because I feel like for you and I, maybe we think that's a big name in his corner, but for him, it's someone that's familiar to him. So, look, I don't think there's any added pressure. I think if maybe, say he was training in a big camp and someone that's not really part of his team jumped in his corner, then maybe you feel a little bit of pressure. But I don't necessarily think that he's going to feel any extra pressure. It's a familiar face to him. And, if anything, it's someone that's going to give him the confidence to go in there and implement a game plan and get another victory or, get his second victory in RIZIN.
Hell of a stare down there from Jose Shorty Torres, Joji Goto, the USA versus Japan. That will be fight 4 in our main card tomorrow from Saitama Super Arena. Listen to this pop. Yes, that is Makoto Shinryu and Hiroya up next. I'm a huge fan of Hiroya, Damien. He's a destroyer. Can he do the job tomorrow, though, against Makoto Shinryu?
Well, I like his style. I like that, he's trying to finish fights. He's not out there just to win decisions. He lives and dies by the sword, and tomorrow night will be no different. But he's going to be up against it, that's for sure. But he's in good nick. He's in very good shape.
He looks buff, Shingo. He is ripped.
He is huge. Like him working on his physical strength over in Las Vegas with Billy Bigelow. Like him training in the U.S. definitely has helped him out with his strength and endurance.
Makoto Shinru on the scales now. Two men who look supremely confident. How did this match come about, Shingo?
Well, this was kind of like a spin-off from the Flyweight Grand Prix. You know, both fighters lost to Montoya. We kind of had a different opponent in mind for Hiroya, but it didn't come through, so we just gave Shinryu a call and say, hey, you want to fight on New Year's Eve? He's like, heck yeah.
I'm just trying to listen out for the audience pop. They seem pretty similar, maybe an edge to Hiroya, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I honestly thought Hiro would have a much bigger audience compared to Shinryu, but you know, Shinryu has made his character change. You know, when he was like calling out Tokoro, he was kind of playing the heel, but he's been humbled and he's been facing himself. He came through that, you know, adversity, and then now he's going to ATT. He's learning under his former opponent. I think he has grown as a man, and that is turned into a good thing for the fans.
So, I mean, were you surprised that Hiroya didn't progress further in the Grand Prix?
I mean, look, you know, he's kind of a fighter he's a real entertainer, and sometimes when you face someone that maybe got a little bit of a, you know, better ability to implement a game plan and maybe a higher fight IQ, someone that can adjust on the go, then potentially come up against some hurdles. So not really, but you know, I'm happy for that matchup we're going to get to watch tomorrow night.
I cannot wait for this next one. Yuta Kubo and Kashiga Dortbeck go toe-to-toe. I'm a huge fan of both of these men. I love the striking on Yuta Kubo. I love everything about Kashiga Dortbeck. How do you see it, Damien?
Yeah, look, Dortbeck, I'm a massive fan, obviously. But we did see a little bit of adversity for him against Yaman, where he was able to put some pressure on him and he really dragged him into a brawl-style fight, and he forced him to wrestle, which we haven't actually seen him have to come out and, you know, adjust his game plan. He's been able to come out and implement it. And so I feel like Kubo tomorrow night needs to really get in his face, and he needs to make it a dogfight. And if he does that, that's probably his best opportunity at creating, you know, a victory for himself. But also, it's going to bring out the panic in Dortbeck, and I feel like that's how people need to fight him.
Shingo, is Kubo ready for this?
I hope he is. You know, his last fight against was Rajabali, so he's been hungry for the fight. He's been hungry to get back into the ring. You know, I think Kubo has very high fight IQ as well. I think he's more like a distance fighter. He has beautiful kicks, so he might be able to keep distance and stay away from Dortbeck's hard punches.
We were talking about entrance songs earlier. Is it Kubo's wife that sings his ex-wife sings his entrance song still?
I am not sure. I've been hearing rumors, maybe or maybe not. Like, this might be the first time she's not here.
Wow.
I'm hearing different rumors. We'll find out tomorrow.
All part of the mysterious love triangles that go on inside of RIZIN. Of course, we won't find about Yaman, how he's going with his hostess after Yaman was removed from the card due to having broken his cheekbone in sparring a few days ago, unfortunately. But Dortbeck and Kubo should be fireworks tomorrow at the Saitama Super Arena. Once again, RIZIN.tv. Make sure you book the pay-per-view. It is going to be an epic show from top to toe. And the first 3 fights live and free on RIZIN's YouTube channel, including the opening ceremony. All right. Kiyoma Akimoto and Suguru Nii up next, Shingo.
Then we have a new star in the making with this Kiyoma Akimoto. He is only 19 years old, and he just headlined the main event for a landmark event, and he put on one heck of a performance. Obviously, you know, he won the fight against a very, very great striker, hard-hitting Kyohei Hagiwara, but he didn't back down in the first round. He told us that he was determined to stand and fight in his game. And in the second round, I was going to incorporate my skills and finish the fight. That's exactly what he did. How could you do that when you're only 19 years old? How much confidence do you need in order to perform like that?
Yeah, and he's only lost in RIZIN coming to Montoya in what was a contender fight to fight in a way. So, you know, he has a lot of confidence, and he's lost a big fight, which some would say that was okay. You know, he hasn't lost a low caliber fight or anything like that. So this kid is just 19 years old. He's got a lot of reasons to have that confidence. And
yeah.
I might say, I think he might have been the first person at 18 that I ever looked at and went, my God, this is the future of MMA, because the sport's come a long way, and this is what we're seeing. We're seeing these kids that are coming through now that are fighting like 30-year-olds did 10 years ago. So it's a very exciting, I guess still up and comer, even though he's fought for that contender spot, and can cause a massive victory here.
There's one question though: does he have that man strength yet? Suguru Nii has that man strength. So when it comes to that grappling exchange, Nii has that pattern. He's got that arm lock. He's going to finish the fight. Can Akimoto be able to pick him apart in the striking, or will he struggle in the grappling game?
That is fight 7 on the main card tomorrow. And next up, we'll listen to the oohs and ahs for this one. The excited gnashing of teeth. Ryuya Fukuda and Tatsuya Ando is going to be a corker, Shingo.
This is one of the fights that I'm looking forward for the most. These guys are like all tatted up. They look like gangsters, but they're so laid back. They're super polite, and they have so much respect for each other and the sport. And they're both super talented. I can't wait for this one.
I remember Ando walking into the room earlier, and he was just like pointing out and waving to everyone. He's just so relaxed, and Fukuda exactly the same. And what excites me about this is these guys try to knock the top off a beer. Like they're like knocking everything out. You know what I mean? There's no tip tap around and wait for a power shot. It's like everything's a kill shot, and so that's what people really want to tune in for. And I felt like this, outside of the top of this card, this is probably the most exciting fight on the card.
How did this match come about, Shingo?
They both wanted to fight each other.
Put their hands up and said, let's go?
Fukuda DM'd Ando. And,
he DM'd him?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we made it happen.
They made their own destiny.
Absolutely. Okay, so after this, I'm going to have to go translate, so I'm going to excuse myself here, but it's been awesome.
Shingo, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Shingo Kashiwagi, the matchmaker for RIZIN. Always great to hear his insights. And Damien, you're both right. This is going, of the first part of the card, the first half of the card, this is the blockbuster fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Fukuda, he fought Inoue. Inoue was able to jab him, into a loss basically, but did a lot of damage. And it really just comes in on a straight line, and that's how Inoue was able to beat him. But it's also his strength, is that when he sees an opening, he closes the distance so fast. So when his shots land, it's good night. But Ando's going to be there to counter that, that's for sure.
That will be fight number 8 on tomorrow's epic card, 15 fights in total. After that fight, there will be a short intermission. I do believe we will be hearing about some of the happenings for 2026 on the RIZIN calendar and some matches potentially for the first show of the year in March. International battle up next. Kleber Koike takes on Vulgar Karamov. Great ovation here for both men. I think the edge may go the way, though, of Kleber Koike.
Yeah, we got former champ versus former champ. Karamov, actually, if people check out Verdict MMA and they want a tip on there and you want to pick your winner, Karamov's actually a favourite, a reasonably sizable favourite on Verdict MMA. I did my tips, guys. Hey, don't believe them all. I'm not here to give gambling advice because I'm terrible at it. But I did some tips on there, so if you want to jump on and check them out, you can tip with me. Karamov, Kleber Koike, they're both stars here. We heard the crowd cheer for both of them right there. Vulgar Karamov is going to have the power. If Kleber stands in front of him, same as when he fought Shotaliev, he's going to leave himself opening for some heavy shots. In saying that, Kleber actually has kind of like, I guess what would seem sometimes as a lazy striking style, but there's a plan behind it, okay? His shots aren't thrown to knock you out. That's not what he's looking for. He wants you to grab him, because the minute you grab him, he ties you up like a boa constrictor, and that's where he gets all his triangles and his submissions from. And I say triangles because it's so common that we see him do that, but if Karamov can keep the distance, get in, get out, he's going to be able to either create a lot of damage on his way to victory by decision, or he's going to be able to find a knockout. And it's not because he's not well versed in the ground game, but why play it?
The intense stare down between Karamov and Koike. No shaking of hands there from Kleber Koike. And Karamov eyes him off. Sense a little beef here, a little bad blood, Damien. Koike gets the audience pop, that's for sure, but no no love lost between those two.
Yeah, no, I think maybe both got something to prove, you know, like former champions, they want their belt back. There's a lot on the line in that matchup, really, when you think about it. Kleber also doesn't have age on his side, right? 35, 36 years of age. He really needs to get a victory and get a roll on to get that title back. But, you know, Vugar Karamov obviously is going to have age on his side, so a little bit to prove there.
Okay, the first of our championship matches tomorrow. The untouchable, the phenomenal super atomweight champion, Seika Izawa, defends against Rena. Nobody has solved the riddle of Seika Izawa. She's made it look easy every time she is in the ring. Is Rena the one to do it, Damien?
Well, I mean, for this weight class, it's real rare to see knockouts. Rena does have some knockouts on her record. She does possess the power to get it done. She actually always tries to just get back to her feet, and that's where she sometimes can leave herself open. Seika Izawa being the, you know, obviously grappler in the matchup. It's grappler versus striker. So I think that Rena needs to just keep it on the feet. She'll be able to find a knockout shot, but it's easier said than done. Seika Izawa, last time out, her opponent missed weight, and then they agreed on a catch weight. She missed weight again, and we've seen genuine emotion play out in the fight. Within a minute, she'd gone and just done a bunch of damage and got it finished. So I think that if she's just trying to play the heel in this fight, and there's no real emotion, then potentially we won't see that. But if she's genuinely upset by it and she feels like she has a point to prove, I think that Seika Izawa will go 18-0 tomorrow night.
Certainly Rena is the crowd favourite, no doubt about that, even though Izawa is the champion. As Damien said, 17-0 coming in. And here they are face-to-face, toe-to-toe for the first time ever. Confidence oozing out of every pore of Izawa. And you've got to be wondering what is going through the mind of Rena. Oh, no handshake.
She offered one, didn't take it.
Wow.
You know, she has something to prove, and I feel like that's going to be, you know, a strength. A lot of people don't like to fight emotionally, but I feel like for Seika Izawa, we've seen in the past, that's going to be a strength tomorrow night.
There you hear the pop for Rena. Less of a pop for Seika Izawa, so the champion not favoured by the fans, certainly though favoured by the bookmakers, the predictions worldwide, Damien.
Yeah, for sure. 17-0, you'd expect her to be a favourite. And so many finishes on her record as well. But it's going to be an interesting one, because if it stays on the feet, we get a winner. If it goes to ground, we get a different one.
Just to let you know, folks, Rena did say it's New Year's Eve tomorrow. I will destroy Izawa. Izawa said there's nothing left to say. I'll show you my feelings in the ring tomorrow. Up next, the RIZIN Bantamweight title match. Naoki Inoue, the champion, and the Italian gangster, Danny Sabatello. He has talked the talk, finally gets his chance to walk the walk tomorrow.
Yeah, Naoki Inoue, he's started to build up a bit of a fan presence over here, hasn't he? And I think he's really underrated. Again, he's a young guy. You know, he's early 20s, and he's the champion already. And tomorrow night up against Sabatello, the American.
Man, Sabatello looks in shape. He is ripped.
He's in good nick. This is what he wanted. From the time he's come to RIZIN, he's screamed Naoki Inoue's name. He's thrown, you know, a whole bunch of different offensive comments towards him, and anything he can do to talk himself into a title fight, he's done it. But he did get hurt last time out in his fight. And if he plays the striking game tomorrow night, Naoki Inoue will knock him out, in my opinion.
He has spoken a lot of smack, as you said, but I don't think he gets into Inoue's mind. I don't think anyone can penetrate Inoue's mind.
No, I don't think that he can get into him and break him. But he did say on the Confession series, for those that haven't seen
He's
it,
still talking here.
Check it out on RIZIN's YouTube channel. He did say that he feels like he's made Naoki Inoue talk more than he's ever talked.
Look at Inoue. Inoue refuses to go eye to eye with him as Sabatello continues to smack talk in Inoue's face. This one's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, I think Inoue is actually enjoying having someone that's bringing the entertainment.
Beautiful fans for coming out. I have a special treat for all of you when I knock this motherfucker out.
Ooh. I wonder if they actually translated that particular word, Damien. Wow. This is going to be a nasty fight tomorrow for the RIZIN Bantamweight Championship. Inoue defending against the Italian gangster Danny Sabatello. Live worldwide pay-per-view on RIZIN TV. Inoue just said, a lot's been said, a lot's been spoken, but you'll see the results tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. It is the final of the RIZIN Flyweight Grand Prix and the RIZIN Flyweight title match as Ogi Kubo takes on Yuki Motoya.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup because both these guys possess the skill set to get the finish, but you know, Motoya did say earlier on this is the hardest weight cut that he's had. He actually was worried that he either wouldn't make it or that he would potentially do some damage. So I've got to say that's alarming, you know, when a fighter feels that, because that sort of plays on you. Does he rehydrate properly or not? But I think that Motoya being, you know, he stands still a lot. He's very flat-footed. Ogi Kubo, lots of movement, left head kick, left lead head kick, throws it up there nice, mixes up his grappling, very well-rounded skill set.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Who did you choose on Verdict MMA?
I chose Ogi Kubo by decision.
Shingo joins us once again. Shingo, this is just a blockbuster marquee matchup any way you look at it. I'm so excited for this. I'm a huge fan of both men. Your thoughts?
You know, for me, this fight means something special. There's something special in my heart with this fight because these two were the fighters who continued to proceed with this career when there was nothing happening in Japan. Ogi Kubo fought there. I was just talking to the Kasa guy, Motoya's cornerman. Like a lot of guys, a lot of talented fighters, they quit because there was nothing to aim for. But these two continued to fight. They weren't making much. They were nobodies. They continued with this sport because they loved it so much. Now they're here, and these two fighting on the finals of the Flyweight Grand Prix on this big stage, on this Memorial Day, that story itself, for me, is so inspiring.
This is JMMA, Shingo, right here, isn't it?
I'm emotional just talking about it. These guys fought through everything. They had to support a family. Now they're showing they're great role models for their children.
The handshake, the respect between two martial arts warriors. I do want to ask though, Shingo, who's got the audience's side?
I think Motoya has the edge. He's never seen a title. I mean, Ogi Kubo's won the Grand Prix, so he's seen that light before. Motoya's been fighting from day one of RIZIN. All 10 years, he still hasn't seen that title. So I think a lot of people can, you know, get emotionally attached to Motoya.
Yet another title fight is the RIZIN lightweight strap on the line. Roberto Satoshi Souza defends against Ilkham Nozimov. You know the fans are on the side of that man, the champion, Roberto Satoshi Souza. As we said earlier, Damien, a man who was brought striking into his game. He now knocks people out, and he does so very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. He certainly does. I got to feel like tomorrow night, Roberto Souza won't take any risks. I think he'll take this fight to the ground as fast as he possibly can. He is facing someone that has a 75% finish rate, but it was on 15 days' notice. Nozimov was getting ready for a striker. He's now facing someone that's, you know, very well rounded, but a specialist in the grappling department. And I think Souza will try to back him up to the ropes. He'll shoot for a takedown. He'll climb on his back, and I think that he'll try to get it done as fast as he can because I feel like he's facing a real threat.
Shingo, what's the word around RIZIN headquarters? Is this a big danger match for the champion?
You know, I'm going to take a non-scientific approach. Nozimov was not even considered being on the New Year's Eve card until a month ago. Now he's fighting for the title. You know, when things happen, right, they happen like this. When things are right, when they're aligned, they're aligned. So with that said, I think Nozimov has that chain of luck right now, and as a fighter, luck is a very important essence, isn't it?
It's going to break some time for Roberto Satoshi Souza. Is it going to be tomorrow at the Saitama Super Arena? Don't forget RIZIN.tv for the global pay-per-view. First 3 fights on the card will be streamed for free on the YouTube channel along with the opening ceremony, and then it is game on. Look at the stare down here between Souza and Nozimov. Two men absolutely peaking, and maybe the pressure off Nozimov a bit because, as Shingo said, he wasn't even considered up until a month ago. He hasn't had 8 weeks to prepare. He hasn't been inside his mind for a 2.5-month camp. It's been a very short build-up for him that could work in his favor, Shingo.
Absolutely. You know, I visited Tiger Muay Thai in October, and he was like bothering the crap out of me. He was like, hey, I'm ready. I'm going to be ready. So he hasn't had a fight confirmed, but he's always been ready. So he's been ready. He's in shape, and he was training like he was gonna fight on New Year's Eve. And like the thought of not giving up. He's showing it right now.
I think also, like, if you're at Tiger or you're in Thailand, a place like that training, like, you're not working. You're out there training, so you're always staying ready. Those guys are training, maybe mentally not in camp, but physically always in shape. So, 4 weeks is just enough to plan for a fight and get yourself in there and cause an upset. But there was a slight change in that 4 weeks as well. A couple of weeks later, he changed opponent. But, he does have an opportunity tomorrow night to cause an upset, in my opinion. But also, as we see the weigh-in behind us, usually Souza would have a size advantage. There's no size advantage.
Yeah.
Nazimov is maybe even a little bit taller and maybe a little longer reach.
Just look at everyone's raised their cameras because they know that Asakura's coming out in a moment. Everyone just raised their phones above their heads. It's going to be a massive pop in just a moment's time, folks. Asakura versus Shadalaev for the featherweight title. Shadalaev undefeated, 16-0, never gone past 2 rounds. And Asakura, who was retired last year after losing to Ren Hiramoto and has come back in an epic way. Here we go.
We have our special witnesses.
Big Noggin, Mirko Krokop, 2 legends in the world of mixed martial arts. And
you know how martial artists, it's really cool that these two fought each other, they beat the snot out of each other and submitted each other, but now, years later, they're staying here and cooperating.
Here we go. Wow, listen to that. There's Asakura, and there's Shadalaev. The chants of Mikuru around Roppongi Hills. Here's a megastar, Shingo. Just how big is he here in Japan, Asakura?
He can sell out crowds. I mean, Sakakibara-san was mentioning today that we might have the biggest attendance throughout all MMA organizations of the year 2025. We put in 40,000, put in 50,000, put in 22,000. Asakura can do it all. We filled the Tokyo Dome, and it's all because Asakura. He fought 3 times this year. This is going to be a 3rd time. Maybe that's why he's the biggest star. People want to see him fight.
Yeah, and we also see, like, I've seen for Horiguchi, like, real loud crowds, but we just heard them chanting Asakura then, Mikaru. Like, we don't hear that here very often. Like, you hear vocal crowds occasionally, but you don't hear the chant,
He's got a whole section dedicated for Asakura Mikuru fans. We sold 20,000 seats, sold out instantly.
20,000 seats just set aside for his fans and sold out straight away.
Yep.
Incredible. Here they are, face to face, toe to toe for the first time ever. You see Asakura quite a bit taller than Shadalaev, who has to look up to Mikuru.
Yeah.
Mikuru's got that poker face, Shingo, never any expression.
Absolutely. He was the same when he fought Mayweather.
Even in his fights.
Yeah.
If he's hurt, if he's not hurt, if he's winning, it's always the same look.
Right. He said that I will be the one to give you all a great end of 2025.
Thank you, my fans, Japan. See you in tomorrow, Saitama Arena. Thank you.
Hey, Razabala learned to speak some English. I like it. Is he the one, Shingo? Is he the one, Asakura, to finally do it? I mean, Razabala's gone on this run that I don't think the world of mixed martial arts has ever seen. 16-0, and no one's gotten past the 2nd round with him.
And 100% finish rate. He's been finishing, like you said, he's been finishing everybody. He's so confident. He is so confident. He's not scared to take the risk because he can finish it. He's never failed before. And he'll continue to do so tomorrow.
So, I mean, if you're in the corner of Mikuru, what are you telling him to do tomorrow?
Well, I think he needs to maintain distance. He needs to drag the fight, further, towards the 3rd round, potentially into the 3rd round. And I think he just needs to be smart about it. He's going to have range on his side. He's going to have his reach, and he's got a very good skill set. Everywhere the fight goes, he has a good skill set. He just needs to not get stuck in the brawl. Because can he win there? Of course he can. Is that the most danger that he's going to face? 100%. So, range, distance, angles, footwork, pick his shots, get in, get out, and then when the time comes, he can put the pressure on.
Once again, folks, make your predictions on Verdict MMA. Who did you choose?
Shadalaev.
I think Shadalaev as well. I think Shadalaev finishes him in 2 rounds. Shingo, I'm not going to ask you because you won't be able to lend your comment, but if there is anyone on the roster of RIZIN that can do it, you figure Asakura's got to be the guy.
I agree. I mean, he's got to be. Like I said, he's got the highest fight IQ, and it all comes together. Shadalaev, like I said, he's not afraid to take the risk, which may lead to errors. And Asakura's that type of guy who would capitalize on those errors. He might be expecting those errors. He might have something ready for when that time comes.
I don't want to be you if Shadalaev wins tomorrow, because the question is, who the hell do you possibly match him up against next? The guy's just untouchable. I mean, no one's even given him any concern over 16 fights.
I know, he's been bugging us about wanting to be a 2-division champion. So again, he's already thinking ahead of this fight, you know. So like all the pieces line up. But if he beats Asakura, maybe we give him a lightweight title fight, or the winner of Kleber and Vugar. You know, Kleber's also been wanting to face Shadalaev for a rematch. He couldn't do anything in that fight. If he could take Shadalaev to the ground, I'm sure it would have been a different story. And Vugar, he's a former champion. If he beats Kleber, he definitely has a rightful chance.
Folks, if you want to see the best featherweight and the most violent fighter on the planet in action, RIZIN.tv. Book the pay-per-view tomorrow live from Saitama Super Arena. 15 fights on there. The first 3 will be streamed live and free on the RIZIN YouTube channel, along with the opening ceremony, and it all ticks down to that main event. Shadalaev defending the title, looking to go 17-0 against the #1 superstar, the megastar of Japanese mixed martial arts, no doubt about it, Mikuru Asakura. We're going to be there. I can't wait for it. And there's also going to be some announcements tomorrow about next year, 2026, another blockbuster year for RIZIN, Shingo.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of events lined up for next year. Remember that this is going to be our last Saitama Super Arena event in a while. You're going under innovation. So, where are we going to do our next New Year's Eve? We'll find out tomorrow.
Lots of juicy stuff as we take a look once again. The lineup for tomorrow is superb. The biggest combat sports show in the world. We're expecting close to 50,000 people. Saitama Super Arena would make it the biggest event of the year, would make it the biggest New Year's Eve event since 2006 K1 Dynamite at the Osaka Dome. And of course, history in the making. As we said, Shingo, all done, almost sold out without a gimmick fight on the card. That is incredible.
That's so inspiring. You know, all these fighters want to see legitimate fights. They want to see the real stuff. They want to see high-level fights, and that's what we're giving this year.
And Damien, it goes to show that, have a look at the turnout here today. It's cold in Japan. People have braved the cold weather. They haven't left. They're still taking photos. There's thousands of people here in Roppongi Hills just to catch a glimpse of their favourite fighters.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a ton of people here earlier just for the pre-show, and then for the weigh-in itself, I mean, like all around us, I said to you just before, it felt kind of weird. There was so many people so close, you know, like it's stacked in here. It really is.
You know, there's a group of people beyond that portion too.
Still going back.
Yeah, there's 2 blocks of people.
For those that can't see, that's further behind us. Like, there's people we can't see further on. So it's yeah, it's pretty impressive. And again, you know, we heard the pop for Mikuru Asakura in the main event.
Did you see how long the line was before just to meet the ring girls, the RIZIN ring girls? The line was stretched back a whole block. It was incredible. It is all part of the fanfare, all part of the fun. And those 2 blokes will be there tomorrow. Big Nog and Mirko Krokop, along with a lot of other luminaries ringside. Sakakibara-san, the CEO of RIZIN. And we're all waiting to see, can Shadalaev go 17-0? Or will Asakura be the man to put a blemish on that perfect record?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a very great show. I can't wait for tomorrow. We put this together, but still, we can't wait for tomorrow. So it's going to be very good.
Well, folks, from myself, Michael Chavello, Damian Brown, and Shingo Kashiwagi, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Once again, RIZIN.tv, book the pay-per-view. Don't want to miss out on an epic card. 15 fights, 5 titles on the line. And of course, the first 3 fights streamed for free on the RIZIN YouTube channel, along with the opening ceremony. We'll see you tomorrow for the New Year's Eve spectacular that is RIZIN's 10th year anniversary special. Thank you and see you then.